Assist.
Looking across the table, Philip Calvo on green-white aggro with the usual suspects. That's why I was going with that. I didn't mean typical. I meant usual. Yeah. So anyway, the usual suspects: Kaiser Soze and everything.
Kaiser Soze.
He's got. Now this is interesting.
Bird Paradise turn 1.
There are more than one Garrick. There's more than one Garrick legal in standard right now. Is that not correct?
Yeah, that is true.
So he just wrote Garrick under Planeswalkers, unless, like, I don't know. I can't. I'm not quite sure about that. Well, we're gonna see. Timothy Bagen, turn 1, Gitaxian Probe shows us Thragtusk, Birds of Paradise, Blade Splicer, Restoration Angel, and Wolfear Silverheart. Wolfear Silverheart, a breakout card in block back at Pro Tour Barcelona, and since then has seen a lot of play in these sorts of green-white aggro decks or Naya aggro decks. So.
Okay. What kind of island is that? That's like one of those really awesome islands, right? APAC or something?
APAC or Guru, or it's not Guru. Guru has like the little circle kind of.
For those of you who are experts on the alternate arts and the various different promos, special cards, do let us know at SCGLive. What kind of island is that?
So there's a Blade Splicer off of Cavern of Souls. Brings a little friend with it. Big friend, actually. 3/3 first striking golem.
Is 3/3 big?
It's big enough. I mean, it's average size.
It can take down an elephant.
Yeah. Cavern named Angel, by the way. APAC, says Stefan Coulson, and David Todd Maddox agrees, as does Eric Klug.
Thank you, everybody out there in Twitterland.
All right, in for 4, says Philip Calvo. Now, I wonder if Philip has any idea of what Timothy is trying to pull off.
If I were Philip, I would just be thinking this. Looks like my opponent's playing Delver.
Yep, exactly. I mean, I imagine that's exactly what Timothy wants him to think, you know? Even our director thought the deck was Delver when he just glanced at it. Saw Blade Splicer, Restoration Angel, Snapcaster. Oh, it's Delver. So we have a misstep on a Birds of Paradise from Timothy and a Blade Splicer of his own. So Philip says, okay, you're Blade Splicer, Delver. Okay, got it.
Blade Splicer v. Blade Splicer. It's actually pretty impressive if you think about it, that a golem could take down an elephant and not even be hurt.
Well, if it's first strike, that's
well,
what it is.
As long as it's got a
he
handler
snuck up
with
behind it. Yeah, he sneaks up behind it.
And we see a potential trade here. And no. Well, yes, actually. Yes, true.
No, Restoration Angel came in and blinked it to save it. So now we've got Restoration Angel, 2 golems, and a Blade Splicer
maybe
on
I missed
Philip's side of the board.
Did he attack with the Blade Splicer? Maybe I just brain melted it.
No, he attacked with Blade Splicer. Timothy declared blockers, and then Restoration Angel.
So he got it in 3 damage there for funsies.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it. I just missaw the attack. Gotcha.
It's all good.
Oh, Doctor. Is that 4 mana I see?
It could be 4 mana in Timothy's, or Timothy has access to 4 mana. Could potentially...
Is he chapping it down?
Could
Is he going for
shape
it?
anew into a Blightsteel Colossus here.
Now the danger, of course, is his opponent potentially doing Metamorph.
That is quite the threat. So interesting cards in this list: Blightsteel Colossus, 4 copies of Shape Anew, 1 Twisted Image, a card I haven't seen in a while.
Twisted Image is like a real surprise to me. It kills birds, but I'm not sure if it does very much else in the mainstream right now.
Master's Call. Just 1 copy. 1 Amass the Components.
And you see the judge coming on over here.
Oh, they're checking on the Garrick situation. Yeah, as we
The Garrick
noted,
situation being, which Garrick is in your deck? You need to tell us.
Yeah, he just wrote Garrick under Planeswalkers and did not actually. Are you ribbing me?
Yeah, Twisted Image. Our mighty coverage coordinator Glenn Jones is like, it kills Blood Artist, which is true. It does kill Blood Artist.
Yeah. I didn't know what he was referring to.
Yeah, we were off that topic, and so I'm like, I see this Blood Artist. He's like dancing around. He put on a little clown nose and start honking it at us, So, we can see the frustration here from Philip.
Oh, is this a game loss?
It is a game loss.
Oh wow.
Now, a lot of people think that this kind of thing is a harsh penalty. Now, one of the reasons that it is not necessarily very harsh is that you cannot know the intentions of the player involved. And sometimes with cards that have similar names, doing that lets you have a lot of versatility if you've been able to do any kind of scouting ahead.
Yeah, one bit of interesting thing is Timothy did not show his the form of his deck here, is that it being a shape anew deck. So if Philip didn't already know that it was a shape anew deck for maybe watching an earlier round or something, Timothy still has that element of surprise. Now the interesting little sub game here is, does Timothy think, all right, did Philip see that I'm a shape anew deck?
Oh,
or
I don't think enough happened.
No, I don't mean there. I mean earlier, like maybe in round 1 or 2.
Earlier in the games, gotcha.
Or round 1, 2, or 3. Maybe he had a crowd around him, as these sorts of decks tend to.
These decks
to
do
happen.
get those crowds,
right? Because you're like, somebody's got Blightsteel Colossus on board and on a table. Oh, really? Let's go watch. So
right.
So if the cat's out of the bag, Timothy may have his sideboard plan. He has like 4 Geist of Saint Traft, a Spectral Flight. He can kind of sideboard into just a Delverless Delver deck, and the problem is, does he know whether or not Philip knows? It's a Princess Bride sort of thing. Do you know that I know? Do you think that I think that you know that I have? Yeah. So anyway.
Actually, when it comes to the Princess Bride thing, there have been studies that have been done about how far down the rabbit hole you generally should go. Like, on average, you should basically go down the rabbit hole just one fraction of a step further than not going down it at all. Like, you assume, like, let's pretend that strategy 1 is assuming that your opponent knows nothing, and strategy 2 is assuming your opponent knows about strategy 1. You should go at about strategy 1.2, which is to say 20% of the time or so go with the one way, and 80% of the time go with just play it straight up, full power. Let's not mess around, let's just do it. For more on these kinds of things, you can go to your local library and look up game theory studies. Google Scholar is another excellent resource.
Exactly, right? Reading rainbow, butterfly in the sky. I can go twice as high. Take a look. Sorry, I love that song. It really brings me back to being like a
Have
really
you seen
little kid.
Jimmy Fallon perform Reading Rainbow?
No, I haven't.
He performs Reading Rainbow as Jim Morrison.
I have to Google that.
Remind
me on a break.
Pretty
I will
incredible.
be looking that up.
Now, Philip Calvo here has to make sure that what he does. Here he is. He's playing against this deck. He doesn't realize it's Shape Anew, most likely. He has to make sure that with these next 2 games, since he has to win both of them, that he plays, I think, with his first game as tightly as possible. He can't mess up here. When you get essentially your opponent a game 1 bye, you just can't let that moment, that frustration, get inside your head and tilt you so that you just fall apart for the rest of it. It's too easy to just throw away a match after this because you're mad. You got to get yourself under control and step it up and bring it back to the game at hand. All that matters is you got to win the next 2, not what happened before. That's done. For those of you who are just joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan, joined by Joey Pasco. We are here at the Star City Games Open Series. It's SCGLive coming to you from Denver. And on the left, Philip Calvo, down a game after his deck list error. he misregistered his deck, essentially. He wrote down 2 Garrick on his deck list, and unfortunately, there is no card called Garrick. There is
Garrick Relentless,
Garrick
Primal
Wild,
Hunter.
yeah, Primal Hunter. Garrick Wild Speaker, is that gone?
It's gone. It's not
gone.
in standard anymore, but the other 2 were relevant answers, you know, to the question which Garrick is in my deck. So turn 1 Avacyn's Pilgrim from Philip, turn 1 Ponder from Timothy, and Timothy still doing a very good impression of Delver, of a Delver deck.
I actually think he might be doing a good impression of blue-white mid-range.
That's true too, because you did see the Blade Splicer,
yeah.
right. He could be blue-white mid-range. And there's another Blade Splicer, but it's on Philip's side of the board, just like last game. Brings the Golem with it, and Timothy untaps his Seachrome Coast. Plays an island. What set is that? Is that a Mirage Island? Can't quite remember. I'm going to take a look at the card database here. Passes back to Philip. Philip plays a Forest.
Given what he needs to do, he's starting out pretty well with it. Ajani.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. I love to see Ajani. And looks like, is he gonna...
Look,
he's making the Golem a little bigger. So we've got a 4/4 first strike coming to rumble alongside its handler, as you called it, the Blade Splicer. And we've got a Dismember for the
I don't
Golem.
know how I feel about pumping up the Golem there. All the eggy eggs in a basket.
Yeah.
I would rather spread around the eggs. Ajani, though, is still there and ready to cause a ruckus with any number of creatures from here on out. Blade Splicer from Timothy Bagen. Bagen. Untap from Philip Calvo. Philip has Dismembers in the sideboard of his own.
He hasn't seen very much. He may be expecting like Restoration Angels.
He has Oblivion Ring as well. I wouldn't actually be surprised if he boarded in Oblivion Rings. If this is a blue-white mid-range list, then Gideon Jura is a real thing.
Sure
and
is.
Tameo can be. Are you a Jura or a Jura?
Jura. Gideon Jura.
I think I'm kind of a Jura. And we see Blade Splicer facing off. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom! Shape anew.
And Philip says, what is that?
How do you like them apples? What does that card do?
Looks like we got ourselves a Rita.
And
that
away
that one's
goes.
for Evan.
Shape anew on top. Land. You know he's being sloppy with his flips over. Don't be sloppy. That's not how it goes.
I love the land choices. That is a Mirage.
The lands are like all unique, it looks like.
Yeah, that is a Mirage Island. I like that. I haven't seen that one in a while.
I have not seen the same art yet.
There's Shape anew, and as you can see, it is
Boom.
it is essentially polymorph for artifacts. Oh, I hit a Blightsteel Colossus. What luck!
Oh. Now, did Philip Calvo bring in Oblivion Ring?
Philip's like, please just hit like Mortar Pod or something. No. Timothy's so lucky to hit the Blightsteel Colossus, of course.
How lucky. Cavern on something. Angel, perhaps.
Likely. That was on Angel last game.
I think I see a gut shot in his hand. Could be wrong.
Cavern on Angel, indeed.
And Philip, he wants just to win right now, but I don't know that that's going to happen. Okay. So let's pretend he can survive 2 turns. This turn, he's alive. I shouldn't say 2 turns. Let's pretend he can survive next turn.
Oh, gut shot the Blade Splicer.
Doesn't matter that he loses the life if he's dealing with a Blightsteel Colossus. Oh, and there's an Inkmoth Nexus. That changes everything. I was saying he might be able to do like pump up one of his guys by 1 and then do a triple block. And then, but no.
Inkmoth Nexus actually adds to the to the math
Nexus is
here.
a real deal. Because what he wants to do is be able to get a swing in here.
Right, like he can Ajani the Golem and hit for 8, right?
Yeah.
And 9 if you include. Okay, so he doesn't decide to do that. Blightsteel chump blocks a Blade Splicer. Yeah, see, I would have, I think, okay.
Oh, what do we got there?
Oh, wow, it's Sigarda, Host of Herons. Not
I
a
did
card
not see
I've
that.
seen off, no, I didn't see that even in the list. There it is, yeah, I can, obviously, now that I'm looking for it, it's right there. Sigarda, Host of Herons. It's 5/5 flying, hex-proof, and spells and abilities your opponents control can't cause you to sacrifice permanents.
Okay.
She gets
So-
a little bigger. She's a 6/6 now.
Ajani is one tick closer to having a ton of cats.
Oh, wow.
wow.
Timothy Bagen says, Day of Judgment. By the way, the Lifesteal Colossus is indestructible. So, yeah, there's that, and I'll also kill you. Shape Anew. Wow.
Yeah, it was exciting.
I'd like to thank Glenn Jones for finding and featuring that deck. Did you choose that one? Thanks, Glenn.
Our coverage coordinator, Glenn Jones,
He is
with a smile and a
knocking them
hand
out of
play.
the
Oh,
park
boy.
today. Every round we've had an awesome deck. We saw Nico Bolas ultimated last round.